Alright everybody, it's time for an update on Smokey. So I finished the caster camber plate install. As you can see, they're here, and the way I did it, because I obviously don't have an alignment rack in my driveway, I lined up everything center in here. The notches that were pre-existing for the factory, all these are located center. This one in the back is not a slot, it's just a hole, so that comes up through there. But then I mounted these here roughly in the center, and I got the wheels, and the car's in the air right now, but I got the wheels to where they're not really, there's a little bit of negative camber, but not much. There's supposed to be a little bit, but anyway, I did the same on this side and mounted the new struts, which everything looks great under there. I'll have to kick the lug nut, shouldn't do that. Have to do that. But the main reason I wanted, oh, my paint's falling off. Back to what I was saying. The main reason I wanted to do this video is I wanted to point out why people who don't know what they're doing shouldn't work on a car. Before I bought this car, a new rack and pinion was installed in the vehicle. And I'm going to lay under there and show you in just a minute. And it was done poorly, for the lack of a better way to put it. There's wear on the back of this wheel from where it struck the A-arm. And I have limited range of motion turning right. I mean, it's because the rack wasn't centered. Now, for a quick kind of, you know, down and dirty description of what centering a rack is, it's counting the total turns from lock to lock on the rack and pinion, dividing it by half to set your steering wheel as the middle of that rack, so you have full range of motion both left and right. In this particular car, that was not done. Among other things, which I'm about to show you, were done improperly or poorly on this installation. First and foremost, you see as the car's wheels are slightly turned to the left, this is the center of the rack. I pulled the wheels off the car so I could reach full lock on both sides. I had 3 total turns, therefore from lock to go 1.5 turn would line me up with the center of the rack. I've also verified this by getting under the car and checking the positioning of the inner tie rod end in reference to the A-arm. They're approximately in the same location on both sides, therefore the rack is centered. Now I'm going to show you something incredibly funny. I centered the rack, and guess what? My steering wheel's upside down. That, I wondered why that was. I thought maybe I put it on, but put it on upside down because I had to remove it to do the wiring. But I put it on the exact same way the old steering wheel was on. So I got inquisitive and did more investigation. I don't know if you'll be able to see this. I'm going to try. The steering knuckle is located right there. And just below that is a C-clamp that you tighten up to tighten the steering shaft onto the hub of the rack. Now, it's a little bit dark. Let me see. You see that nut located right there, just below the knuckle? See how that's facing up? That nut faces down when the steering wheel is pointed correctly. They didn't want to get under the car to tighten back up the steering shaft when they installed the new rack, so therefore, the steering wheel's upside down. So now it's not only incompetence, it's laziness that I've run into with this car. I was out here shaking my head, and I showed my wife, and she said I had to make a video on doing this. So what I'm going to do is actually do the string trick, where I'm going to set some jack stands up and put a string on the rear wheel back there to show me what straight, or completely forward is. And Mustang, or most cars in general, like about an 1/8 inch of toe in. That's a 1/16 on each side. You see the hand pointing each side. Yeah, I talk with my hands, sorry. So they like approximately an 1/8 inch of toe in, so I'm going to put a 1/16 in each side once I get it straight. Then I'm going to figure out well, not figure out, I know how. I'm going to do what the lazy people before me didn't do, which is correctly orient my steering wheel now that the rack is centered. Yeah, guys, if you're going to do something, 1, know what you're doing. 2, do the job right. Don't be too lazy. That's about it. I'm going to, while I've got fading daylight, I'm going to get back under the car and get this straightened up. Thanks for checking it out. Please like and subscribe if you dig what I'm doing here. If you don't dig what I'm doing here or have suggestions, comment down below. I do my best. Well, I don't have a whole lot of comments yet. Still a new channel, so I will answer every single comment that's there. I'd love your suggestions. If there's anything in particular you want to see, a lesson on something, on how to do it with limited tools and resources, I'm pretty good at that. As a former ASC cert mechanic, I say former because it expires if you don't keep going. Just holler at me. Later.